Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, with Rostermania drama continuing, a few new free agents on the market that we're going to talk about over the coming minutes, but Sib is still in conversation as to where he's actually going to go. Yesterday he said that Thieves or Ultra would be the primary targets, but Shotzzy now responds to that situation and says clearly what was happening over there was not an in-game gameplay related problem, and actually makes a similarity comparison really to what happened with Dashy when he was dropped from OpTic a while ago. Yes, Dashy, very talented player, but clearly outside of the game, things weren't working so well at the time. Dashy, though, eventually returned to OpTic. Sib, it does not seem like, is going to be returning to Cloud9. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. A couple of quick things on Black Ops 6. This is a pretty good sign, actually, because apparently the server tick rate for the core mosh pit is 60 odd tick. 62 tick, which is, better than it has been in the past. I mean, we've talked about 10 tick servers, 30 tick servers, 20 tick servers. The question really is, what is it in custom games? Because I forget what game it was that had like a 10 tick rate custom game server, which was just awful to play on. So hopefully this is maintained on the custom servers, certainly the CDL ones. I did just want to share, by the way, there's a minute of this clip, but I thought I'd just kind of play it for you guys full screen, because this is genuinely one of the best clips that I've seen so far, utilising the Omni movement by Gwyn here, in the way that we might expect to see it when the game actually launches, right? We've seen players do stuff like this, obviously flying around corners and everything, but the way that Gwyn is using it seems incredibly practical, right? Because he's sliding, sometimes in a straight line, sometimes not, but he'll tend to slide and then aim down sight at the same time. So you see what he's doing there? He'll slide sideways and then ADS, meanwhile sliding, and it just makes him an incredibly difficult target to get. Like, look at this gameplay. He's got these guys in a mega trap. And this, exactly what he's doing here, I expect to see what most players will be doing to use it, right? Because it just feels like, because of how fast you move with the sliding and you can ADS at the same time, that there's basically no reason not to play the game like this. I mean, if you're running a tour, you might as well hit the fast slide. And he actually made all these guys rage cry, I think, after completely dominating them that hard. So yeah, fascinating clip, I thought. There was also this here from Gwyn when he tweeted out, like, it's a classic, isn't it? We're here in Rostermania, so we're talking about song lyrics again or whatever. But he tweets out, better off alone. So, like, I mean, probably just tweeting out a song that he likes. But at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe there's something in that and that, you know, Ravens team. Because, of course, the Ravens team is in an interesting spot. They have no Beans. He's gone. They have no Tej. He's gone. They have no Fellow. He's a restricted free agent. Will they bring back Clay? I don't know. But as it stands, it's just Gwyn. So maybe he's not wrong. Right, he's staying over there for now. This is pretty funny as well. Beans and Nastie having a back and forth, because Nastie, for some reason, I think I've noticed this before, actually. I'm not going to lie, that Nastie's got a picture here and it comes up on Insight's COD Gamepedia page. But speaking of Nastie, these were his overall cards this season for the Los Angeles Thieves. Started the season okay, but ended the year really well, Nastie, right? At Champs and also at the World Cup especially. I mean, at the World Cup, you could argue that he was their best player, to be fair. And on LAN, I mean, these are kind of the numbers that you would kind of expect to get from a player that's doing a lot of kind of impact in that role alongside Ghosty, right? Because Ghosty's numbers are very good, so you're not really expecting or needing the flex player to drop some crazy KDs, and that's kind of what we see here. But it's the impact which is important, right? You know, green a lot of these categories, 82 overall. I think he had a really solid season. You know, even when he was on that Ravens team a couple of years ago, even like last year, I still thought he was on the border of being a top 20 player in the world, and I still feel like that's true. I think that in terms of his role, he's arguably, you know, top 5 in his role, something like that, and you know, that's good enough to put you in that top 20 in the league kind of ballpark. One of the questions is, of course, where's he going to go next? If you look at his profile here, you know, there's no Thieves anymore. It's quite clear that he's removed that over the last couple of days. They are going to replace him with somebody, possibly Sib. So, you know, but if I'm another team, if I'm a Toronto, if I'm a, you know, Surge is interesting because they've got 04, but they're keeping aBeZy, right? So it's teams like that that could well consider, and I think should consider, Nastie services, assuming that he doesn't stay on Thieves going into next year. These cards are pretty good as well for MettalZ, I gotta say. I mean, he was very up and down this year, and again, there is this trends of the guys on the Heretics not being as good on LAN. I mean, you know, it's no secret at this point, really. And he had a very up and down year. Like, at the start of the year, he was incredible. Then he was actually pretty bad for like 2 stages. And then he turned it up big time at the end as well. But still, we know that MettalZ, I mean, even back in the Black Ops 4 days on that Heretics team, incredibly talented player. And, you know, just overheats a fair bit sometimes. And obviously, we know that their record on LAN this year wasn't good enough. But because they were so good online, they made it to the World Championship anyway. I do think MettalZ is one of those players that he probably has the keys to this team. That's my understanding anyway, that if there's anyone that effectively has the keys to Heretics and will decide what they do going forwards, I think they believe MettalZ is the talent and the guy to stick with, which might be controversial, but I do get it watching his POV. Again, he's just, as all the Smash players are, a bit too inconsistent. Like, you can see on his day, he's absolutely cooking, but when he's not, it's obviously not the best. This, though, was a big one last night from DiamondCon, confirming unrestricted free agent for the upcoming year. Had a difficult season in many respects. He was on the Los Angeles Guerrillas, and they made it to the World Championship in the end. Obviously, their online record was atrocious. They went to LAN. They generally did all right. I mean, the top 3 at the end of the season was very impressive, but then the team decided they weren't even going to go to the World Cup in Riyadh, right? And then DiamondCon had to find another alternative. He actually joined the Minnesota Rocker, right, or representing G2 Esports at that event. Accuracy, DiamondCon, Lins, and who was the other guy? Estriel, right, was the team they put together, and it weren't the best, right? It wasn't the best at all. DiamondCon and Accuracy did not have the most dominant AR duo showing that they were looking for doing so. And Diamonds, he was alright maybe, but the team was atrocious and they lost to Gentlemates and they bowed out top 16. So it wasn't the best. So it's difficult for DiamondCon, right? Because he was around in the league back in 2021 on the Subliners team, and he kind of proved his worth at that point, but like, he's a relatively slow AR, like, he's not rapid, and he is going to drop decent numbers, but nothing incredible. There's just other players you could get instead, but he is unrestricted, right, after his Guerrillas contract is over, and he probably joined Rocker on like a very short-term deal, and they're not looking to keep him, I guess, is the realization here, that Rocker are going to choose something else. They're keeping Lins. They are, well, we don't know what Accuracy he's doing, but we're pretty sure that he's not going to be there anymore either. So it's probably going to be Lins. Maybe they bring in Cobra. There's certainly been rumors about that. You know, maybe they bring back Lamar, but maybe unlikely. They could bring in, like, Vivid as well as a possibility. They could bring him back. I wouldn't hate that either. So I think they're going to form an interesting roster next season, Minnesota, but it doesn't look like it's going to include DiamondCon, which we probably might well have expected. But, wishing him the best going forward, of course. It's just difficult, right? There's a number of players that are kind of on that border between being Challengers players and Pro League players. And the thing is, that applied to Nastie, to Kremp, to JoeDeceives this season on the Thieves team that came 4th and 2nd at the final 2 events of the year, right? So it's absolutely possible to form teams with players that are, good enough in the right conditions and with the right roster, with the right teamwork, with the right chemistry, can still be a competitive force, and it probably applies to other players too, but, you kind of have to find the diamonds in the rough. Whether DiamondCon is that guy, that is another question, but I wanted to share what Shotzzy had to say on this whole Sib situation, because it's been the big drama, really, of the last week or so, ever since Sib announced that he was going to be a restricted free agent from the team. Sib then came out with his perspective on the culture behind the scenes, the chemistry of that team, and he wasn't so impressed. He then even said yesterday, or maybe the day before, we talked about it yesterday, that he doesn't have any bad blood with those guys, but maybe they have some bad blood with him after what's happened, right? So it doesn't seem like they're going to be teaming together again anytime soon. But Shotzzy kind of has some parallels to draw in many respects because of what happened on the OpTic team when they were getting rid of Dashy. There was all that drama at the start of last year, the start of like January 2023, right? When Scump was retiring and Rambo wasn't happy with Dashy. They benched Dashy. Rambo and the boys come up with a podcast kind of explaining why. Dashy weren't happy about it. He leaks the whole Rambo Ray stuff, and the rest is history, obviously. They eventually bring Dashy back, and that's fine, but it was quite clear that Shotzzy and the team had some problems with the way that Dashy was not exactly like behaving outside of the game, but, turning up late to practice. This type of stuff, it's happened before, and it probably happens again on occasion with any player in the league anyway, but it's clearly been a lot better, and I think Dashy, as a result of those kind of occurrences and the difficulties that he's had over his career, he's become a better player for it, he's become a better teammate for it, and, now he's a world champion, right, so it's all worked out at the end. So, obviously it worked out for OpTic bringing Dashy back, but they did get rid of him, right, on that occasion, and obviously, as Shotzzy said, it's not because Dashy's not talented enough, but sometimes there's just things outside of the game which are going to hold you back from potentially winning. Now, it's possible that you can work it out with that potential player and obviously fix up and maybe make a run in the future, which we saw with Dashy, but in Sib's case, that does not seem likely.
I feel like, bro, people don't understand that, they obviously go to, individual sets, which, yes, don't get it twisted. Dante is fucking gross. Well, every year he's played, he's fucking phenomenal. 100%. roster decisions like that, it's pretty obvious. Like some shit was not clicking or something. And I'm not, obviously I have no idea what it is, but like, for example, like even when whenever we released Brandon, like Brandon is obviously fucking insane. It has nothing to do with like gameplay. It's all outside shit, bro. I understand from your guys' perspective, that's all you guys know and see. And I understand that, but like you have to think further than that. It could be two things. They want to get, you know, Ernie or Dante for the role specifically, or it's other problems that we just don't know about. We'll probably never know about. It could be chemistry. They can't. They might not vibe well. It could be anything, bro. You know what I'm saying?
What's your guys' predictions on where Simp is going to go next after this run? Of course, he's kind of trying to been flirting with Nature over the last couple of days to maybe get that spot. Toronto's an option as well. But yeah, you always got to wonder whether these kind of difficulties outside of the game can be resolved. It kind of depends what they are. I don't expect a lot of those Subliners guys. Maybe HyDra, like it felt to me that maybe HyDra and Simp were closer than, you know, Kiz and Sib or Skyz and Sib were. So, you know, maybe from a personality point of view, they just operate in different ways. That's going to make it challenging for them ever to team up again. I don't know if they necessarily like dislike each other. It's probably more so that they don't think they work very well together, which you know, that is what it is. And HyDra's boys with those guys more so than he's boys with Simp. So, you know, unlucky you're out of the team type thing. And that's how things work in esports. It's just, we've seen drama in the past, such as aBeZy and Drazah, who like had loads of drama during the Vanguard season, basically, when all the words were exchanged after the 2022 World Championship win that Los Angeles Thieves and Drazah had. And then fast forward to the present day, they're teaming up on FaZe. So it's possible that drama can get resolved. But if like there are two players that are kind of incompatible in terms of their kind of culture and their playstyle and what they like to do, then maybe that's simply, you know, irresolvable, if you want to say that. And they're not going to be able to team together at any point in the future again. Unless one of the players changes. I mean, I guess that was a fitting with Dashy. Like, let's say Kenny, for example, when he was teaming with Dashy in MW19, he obviously liked Brandon as a person, and it was a great player, but there were clearly problems with his execution behind the scenes that made Kenny just not want to team with him. So, but obviously Dashy changed over time, and obviously Kenny now says Dashy's like his best teammate. So, you know, things can change. I'm not expecting Sib to join up with those guys at some point again, but, you know, we've seen with various things, like, you know, in various sports really, when certain players or drivers or whatever will leave a certain team, and sometimes there's bad blood, sometimes there's not. In this case, maybe there is, but it doesn't probably matter because Sib's going to go to another team, and that's how it's going to be from now into the future. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Bro, what? Oh, he's hacking. That guy's actually hacking. Here we go. You're gonna... Like, he's literally on ADSing, and he's still gonna aim assist. Like, see, it's just locking. I already did report him. Kashi, how are you gonna get outgunned while cheating? Kashi, bro, like, don't come in. Oh, dude. Bro, the soft lock is insane, bro.